Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Trend Report podcast. I'm glad you're here for what I know is going to be another great conversation packed with lots of value. I'm happy to welcome today Jonathan Webb to the podcast. Hey, Jonathan, how are you?
I'm great. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks. So before we get started, why don't you share with everybody who you are and what you do and a little bit about your role?
Sure. Well, I've actually been at KI for 24 years now. Pretty much grew up in the industry from my early 20s. I've held several roles at KI over the years. I was actually hired as via like a cattle call back in 1997. Started in sales operations and managed some large accounts, which really allowed me to further my career. I worked with a few different organizations within the company, including OEI, which is an OEM for the correctional industries program. Some of your audience may have heard of Unicore.
Yep.
And then I transitioned up into product development and product marketing. So I got to test my hand at getting to the product design world, product management, product marketing world. So then about 11 years ago, I transitioned into market leadership. So I oversee the corporate market. I am really responsible for creating and curating thought leadership for the field, for our reps. And so taking on more of a workplace strategy role. I still get to work in product development and product design alongside of our product managers. So I still get to do that, which is great.
That's awesome. Well, 24 years at the same company, that's something to be proud of. It's not something that we hear a lot today. Somebody with that much longevity at one organization.
There's a lot of longevity at KI. I would guess that our organization probably keeps employees at KI longer than other competitors keep employees overall.
Sure.
It's just part of our culture here. People come and it's a great place to work.
Well, that says a lot about the organization itself. And I obviously have known about KI, and I'm sure most of our listeners know about KI. I remember way back in the day selling KI when the Versa chair was like one of your most popular products. And I really just dated myself with the name of that chair.
You could have said the dorsal chair and that would have backed you up another 10 years. But,
probably so. I'm glad I didn't actually. I'm glad I didn't. So just before we jump into our topic today, give everybody a little update about what KI is up to today, like the products that you have and kind of, you guys have really evolved into a full service manufacturer. So share a little bit about what KI is up to today.
Yeah, I mean, KI, I think is still really well known in the industry as an education leader, education solutions leader, both in college and university and K through 12. We still do obviously our fair share in the corporate market, usually leading with architectural walls, some systems, including our brand new tattoo system, which just came out a couple of years ago and has been a great asset for us, especially as we get through COVID here and just due to its overall flexibility. So, but you know, we're a soup to nuts manufacturer. Our go-to-market strategy is that we market direct. We always have contact with our end users, our clients, and then we allow them to procure from KI however they want to. And that can be direct, it can be through a dealer, it can be through a contract or some other fulfillment channel. And allowing that flexibility is really what has allowed KI to grow at the rate that we've grown over the last couple decades, at least that I've been here. So, you know, it's everything for us. You know, it's chairs and tables and systems and storage and lounge seating and walls and fixed seating and everything. So I would suggest that our product breadth at KI is as wide and deep as anybody in the industry. And that's, you know, really what's made us great over the years.
So you guys have really evolved to that one-stop shop approach, if you will, in completing not just a school, but a corporate facility as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, on top of that, you know, I failed to mention, but, you know, over 20% of everything that we ship out the door every single day has been modified or co-created in some way to serve the exact needs of our client.
Yep.
So that's a huge competency for KI, and something that really allows us to, I think, provide an additional level of product and service that maybe some other manufacturers do not.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, customization is something that's really big in our industry in a lot of different areas. And it's good that people are accommodating that. And because it's been here for a while, but I think it's still growing. And it's going to be really interesting to see how customization of individual products and the workplace
Yeah.
actually evolve as we begin to return to work, which is actually what we're going to talk about today, which is return to work business strategies. And I know as the workplace strategy lead, you're doing a lot of research about it. And so tell us a little bit about some of the research that KI has conducted and what some of your takeaways have been.
Yeah. So I would say our research in regards to return to work is always evolving. It probably started in the middle of 2020 when I'll call it the great acrylic shortage.
Okay, I love that, right? A time in our history, the great acrylic shortage. We'll look back in 10 years and laugh at it.
We along with the other manufacturers, made a strategic choice to inventory mass amounts of acrylic because there was this perceived need for dividers, right? And we're seeing it everywhere, from gas stations to retail stores to restaurants and everywhere. And since then, I would suggest that need is tempered quite a bit. And even to today, when we talk to clients on a day in, day out basis, the talk about dividers and specific like acrylic screens rarely comes up. And I think one of the big aha moments for me going into 2021 is that our clients are planning spaces as if COVID never happened. And that's not to say that they're not changing and adapting work styles, but they're looking at their workplace in a way that was very much pre-2020. Now, the way that they plan the spaces, the degree of flexibility that they are implementing into the design of space, that's been heightened overall, right? So that is something that is the key metric for us moving forward, is this enhanced degree of flexibility in planning out a space. And that really goes for anything from leases to work styles. I mean, just
Sure.
from beginning to end.
So let's talk about this enhanced degree of flexibility. Can you give me some examples of what that actually means?
Yeah. So most of our clients are still one-to-one. Okay. Have been all their lives, all their careers, one workstation for every FTE. A majority of our clients are still planning spaces one-to-one right now, knowing that a certain percentage of their employees are only going to be at the physical workplace 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, whatever that number is. And that number is completely fluid and literally changes based on the client that we talk to. So, we have to be flexible to help our clients be flexible in their planning. We might have to plan spaces with greater degrees of separation, knowing that we hopefully will be replanning or reorienting spaces to accommodate density once again in the future. And let's face it, the cost of real estate is really what drives a lot of these decisions for our clients, right? So, they're going to plan in a certain way at the beginning, but they're recognizing that as we see light at the end of the tunnel, as we're up to 2 million vaccinations a day, as of today, a new vaccine from Johnson & Johnson comes out last week. I think we're sensing more confidence from our clients that spaces can be planned with a degree of flexibility, but they can be planned to eventually get back to normal.
Okay. So it's interesting because, I hear a lot of different takes on this, and I listen to a lot of people talk about this. I read a lot about it. And the other day I was on a Clubhouse room that was about the design industry. And it was just a very open dialogue. There was no specific topic about it. And there was a designer, and I don't know the full name of the firm, but I'm going to use the first two names because she said like four after it. But she was a designer with Perkins Eastman, okay, in Chicago. And she talked about how they're taking a completely different approach, right? And they're looking at this work from anywhere approach. And they're redoing their offices in Chicago, and they had planned to originally have 85 people. And then they adopted the work from anywhere as a test for their clients. They're going to test it, see how it works, and then share those results with their clients. So they downsized from 85 seats to 35 seats. And then you work from anywhere. So if one day you want to come to the office, you do. One day you want to work from home. The next day you're working at a coffee shop, or, design from anywhere, if you want to call it that too. So I think it's really, really interesting how people are looking at this, and either one to one to many, or complete hybrid, because I think we're all trying to figure out what the future really looks like.
So I think a lot of this is geography dependent. Our industry, for better or worse, definitely seems to focus on major metropolitan markets when looking for trends, right?
Yep.
I don't want to drive in San Francisco because ... Yep. I don't want to drive to downtown Chicago. Those reasons for not coming to work have never changed since the pandemic started, right? People that live in the suburbs of Chicago, once everyone gets going again, they're still going to have a 55-minute commute or a 60-minute train ride into downtown. So I want to be able to step back from the major metropolitans, because I think we lose sight of that sometimes in our industry. If I'm talking to a client outside of Milwaukee or outside of Cleveland, Ohio, or Columbus, Ohio, where we don't have the major metro issues, you're going, in my opinion, and based on what I'm hearing from clients, I still think you're going to see a majority of our clients want to come back to the office. I mean, there was a survey I read recently where CEOs across the country, an overwhelming majority, it was like 75 or 80% of them, want their employees to come back to the office. So, I get the idea in the major metros just because of commuting and so forth. At the end of the day, I want to be somebody that evokes confidence in coming back to the office. I think it's important for our industry. I think it's important for people that work in our industry to say, we like the office. and
True that.
Right.
Yeah.
And we want our clients to feel comfortable coming back to the office. And I hope some of us can lead by example, certainly.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's there's a lot of shifting happening in our industry right now, and a lot of really good conversations happening. And I do appreciate the fact that you point out that one size doesn't fit all. And what works in a major metro area doesn't necessarily work in a smaller populated city. So we have to be geographically sensitive to how this is going to work, because you're spot on. A person that lives in the suburb of Chicago that's got an hour and a half drive to the city, that same person in, I think, Columbus, Ohio, that lives the same number of miles away doesn't have that same drive. So the impact is completely different.
Yeah. And, I live in Green Bay, Wisconsin. So, 5 miles equals 5 minutes. It's
That's right.
Math in Wisconsin. That the math doesn't add up in San Francisco. 5 miles equals probably 45 minutes on some rough days. So
yeah, absolutely.
We can't lose sight of the fact that we need to be listening to the CEOs and the leaders of these organizations that are suggesting that, while they've gotten through the last year, there is still a real sense of purpose to bring people back to the office. And for some companies, it's about motivation. For some, it's about productivity. So it's really interesting. One of our largest clients, large social media company, Silicon Valley based, they're working really, really hard to bring their employees back to the office as soon as possible. Now, they recognize there will still be a work from home component, but the leader of that company has openly recognized that there has been lost productivity,
Mhm.
and more importantly, lost collaboration.
Yeah.
We used to not like to use the word collaboration, right? Because it was such an overused word. Um, but face-to-face collaboration has largely gone missing in organizations across the United States.
Mhm.
And our employees' ability to be able to have face-to-face conversations, I hope it hasn't become a lost art. I say the same thing for students as well, that have gone the last year outside of schools, not to shift too much, but the the the, the desire for children and young adults to be able to work together and collaborate and have discussions face to face. I get a little worried, just because we have been doing this for, I know it's been a year, but let's face it, it feels like 10 years,
Yeah, absolutely. It does.
it's worrisome. And I can't wait to get that friction back in the workplace, which I think is achieved at a much better pace.
Mhm.
And it's just done a lot better in person.
Yeah, I think collaboration is something that everybody is missing, and working from home. And I mean, listen, we have technology tools that allow us to collaborate, but it's not the same as collaborating in person. And so I think it's an important component of the return to work. So, Jonathan, let's talk for a couple of minutes about like strategies. What are some strategies that you think our industry should take the lead on, if you will, in helping our customers and return to work, as well as helping understand return to work?
Yeah, I mean, I think, first of all, I think that there's going to be an increased need and desire for ideation spaces, and interaction spaces.
Okay, so before
Think,
you go further,
yeah,
explain what you mean by ideation space. Explain that definition, just so
yeah,
everybody's understanding.
yeah. So this is a term that we use internally, so I apologize.
That's
So
okay.
for us, an ideation space would be uh, a small group collaborative space of, I'll just say 4 to 8
Yep.
people, right? And then an interaction space would be a little bit of a smaller space, maybe 1 to 4 people, somewhere in there. And then the lines blur between the two, of course.
Mhm.
But those group spaces are going to be increasingly needed. And the way that we plan for them, coming back to the office, is going to be really interesting, because again, you are going to have some organizations that want to see face-to-face interaction, but they need to be able to plan for space and social distancing and so forth, at least for a short time. So how do we make those spaces flexible enough? Is it through a series of screens or dividers or architectural walls that can be, taken down and put back up into different configurations at a moment's notice? And then on top of that, and I think most organizations would agree, prior to the pandemic, those spaces did not always have the right amount or the needed amount of technology to
Mhm.
support video conferencing. I I still look back at March and April of last year, and the degree to which organizations jumped, I mean, leapt into video conferencing as a staple in their work environment
Yeah.
is incredible to me.
Mhm.
Is we went to Zoom, we went to Teams, this and that, and it was just amazing. Our company was the same. So now if people come back to the office, we have to make sure that we can accommodate that on a larger scale, because there are going to be many organizations that continue to offer a work from home practice 1 to 5 days a week. And I think those spaces need to be accommodated for that.
So the two things that you said were that I have written down were be sure that we're providing flexible spaces, and we're planning for flexible spaces that have the ability to expand and contract as we continue to move out of this. And so that a customer has the ability, if the space is just for 4 people right now, in the future, it should be able to expand to accommodate, or be changed, flexible to be changed to accommodate 8 people. And then the second thing was embrace technology tools that are going to allow for effective collaboration, because I do think there's going to be, for a variety of different reasons, I don't know that you're going to have at any given point in time 100% of the people in the office at the same time. It could be for a variety of different reasons, whether it is commuting, or maybe there's still e-learning happening, or because some families found success with e-learning that they decide to do that long term, that you're going to have a portion of people that will be dialing in, right? And so having acceptable video conference capabilities to bring those people into that collaboration is important, and be sure that we're embracing new technologies.
Yeah, and I don't think it can be understated that the way that education moves forward in communities greatly impacts the ability for companies to dictate who comes to work. We are still going to have cities, school districts that are not allowing in-person learning through probably the rest of the school year, hopefully not into the fall, but who the heck knows. And then on top of that, we've introduced virtual learning now almost ubiquitously across the United States. To me, it will be very interesting, because we are an education provider. It will be very interesting to learn and understand how and if schools offer virtual learning as a long-term solution within their school districts. I don't think that conversation has come up enough lately. And I think as school districts plan for the 2021-22 school year, is that a product that some school districts offer? Do they offer it as a way to counteract the homeschooling industry or the charter virtual school industry? That's something we're going to have to keep an eye on, because there's also going to be an impact then on how we plan schools and how we plan classrooms as well. The same conversations that we are having regarding those ideation and interaction spaces in corporations will also have to take place in the K through 12 environment, may also have to take place in the college and university environment. I did a study that turned into a paper several years ago about how collegiate design is a new driver for corporate design. We're going to see this back and forth now between corporate and colleges in terms of how spaces are planned. And it'll be really fascinating, I think, to see the carryover from a college university environment into a corporate work studio, and maybe even vice versa.
Yeah, and that's great. And what I really appreciate about what you said is we need to listen. We need to ask questions, and we need to listen to what a variety of communities are saying, whether it's corporate, education, K through 12, healthcare. We need to be listening to what's happening and what our customers are saying, so that we can provide the right products and services to them as we continue to move forward. Because it's going to be, I think, a little bit, as you described, a back and forth, and one's going to learn from the other and take a best practice and incorporate it over here, and then incorporate it over here. So it's going to be really interesting, which is why, and I say this a lot on the podcast, which is why I'm so excited about the future of our industry. Yeah. There's so much diversity happening right now, and we have so many different ways that we can respond, and so many different strategies that we can develop to be successful. So let's dive into that just for a minute. What would you say to a dealer that is looking to create strategies right now? What kind of advice would you give to them that could potentially help them be more successful?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think just going back to your earlier comment, I lead a lot of design think exercises and workshops with our reps across the country. The word I probably use the most, and maybe I overuse it, is the word empathy. We have to understand, if flexibility is the new F word, if that's the word for 2021, then we have to be, as an industry, very empathetic to what organizations are going through. Some did really well through the pandemic and had record years. Some barely hung on, and unfortunately, some went away.
Yeah.
And there are impacts not only professionally but personally with the lives of people that have gone through different experiences in the last year. So, we're always at KI going to talk to our reps about leading with empathy and trying to understand what the issues are that our clients are trying to solve.
So I'm sorry about that. What I want to say to that is we don't do that enough. So much we go straight to how do we sell product, and let me start telling you about all the features of my product. And we never ask the questions to truly understand the business issues that our clients are facing. And we have to, with empathy, start asking those questions to really understand the issues that our clients are facing, because I do believe that no two companies, especially today moving forward, have the same issues.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think we need to be intellectually honest about our industry. And the fact of the matter is we have a lot of products, and for a lot of our clients, furniture is seen as a commodity. People are not buying furniture because of feature and benefits as much as they used to when they had fewer choices. They're buying from the person, they're buying from the dealer, they're buying from the sales rep. And if that's the case, and I strongly believe it is, then it's up to all of us to develop our own professional brand that allows us to set ourselves apart when we are going to talk to a corporate client, a K through 12 school district, a local college or local university. And part of building a professional brand and having a brand presence where I am Sid Meadows and I represent this dealer and these manufacturers, that's great. Sid, what are you doing for me? What thought leadership, what ideas are you bringing to me that nobody else is bringing? That's a big part of what we're trying to preach every single day here at KI, is that we provide our sales reps and our distribution agents and our dealers with a toolkit. And we say, here are the things that we offer you from a thought leadership platform, web tools, so on and so forth, that are different than everybody else in the industry. This is what we would like you to lead with in your discussion, to ask the right questions.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love it because so basically, and I've talked about this quite a bit, of either I've written about this or I've talked about it on the podcast, but basically what you're doing is you are embracing a form of what I would term as sales enablement, where you're giving the tools, which is what sales enablement is all about. It's about putting marketing ahead of sales and letting marketing take the lead in creating thought leadership and consistency to give to the salespeople so that the sales team are out leading the way with their followers and with their customers with thought leadership and valuable information and not just product. So kudos to you guys for doing that.
Well,
I wish more people in our industry would embrace that.
Well, it's hard though in our industry, at the dealer level, when you're getting, emails full of bid opportunities, and it's like, put together the 8 best typicals and price it out and give me this and give me that. And the challenge, of course, is you're going to have some clients that, that because they view furniture as a commodity, they are treating it as a commodity. Yep. And it's just a bid process. Yep. So it's up to us as sales and marketing professionals to try to overcome that. Sometimes you're going to be successful and sometimes you're not.
But the other thing that you said that's also very important is each and every one of us needs to have a brand and needs to pay attention to what our brand is, and honestly focus on brand development of you, right? Who are you? What are you saying? What is your brand? And being sure that you're standing integrity with your values and things of that nature, because brand is so important. And it used to be limited to companies. Now it's really about the individual in so many different ways. So we got to pay attention to our brand, not our brain. Sorry about that. And then we do need to pay attention to our brain. Yeah. but pay attention to our brand, and then pay attention to what the thought leadership that we're providing in our community and to our customers, right?
Yeah.
So I want to flip the question around on its head a minute and ask you, Jonathan, what kind of suggestions or advice would you give to our specifier community, to the A&D community, about embracing some of the things that we're trying to share with them?
Yeah. I think our specifier community has unique challenges, but at the same time, I think they have the advantage of having more sustained communication with clients. They're at the front lines of client interaction. I would suggest that most furniture salespeople would love to have as much client interaction as A&D community does. As we begin this return to work process, my hope is that, and this isn't just go for the A&D community, but really everybody that works in our industry, recognizes the importance that our clients coming back to work has on the success of our industry. It's really been interesting in that, when I've talked to specifiers over the last year, for the most part, in certain areas of the country, I guess we've seen a little bit of a decline, but it seems like there's been a pretty level amount of business and activity throughout the A&D community based on those that I've spoken with. And that's, maybe a little bit less in California, but a little bit more in the Midwest, a lot more in the South. It's just geography, it depends. Mm-hmm. Again, just understanding that I think our clients are looking to the A&D community to not just design buildings, but to help ensure and reinforce the fact that buildings can be designed safely and appropriately for people to come back to the office. That's my hope and my wish for everybody in our industry. And, for a lot of our A&D firms, I think that means that designers will start to come back to the office as well. And, I say it here all the time. I think in order for people in our industry to demonstrate that it's okay to go back to work, we need to go back to work ourselves. And again, I understand that there's going to be a work from home component going forward. But I don't think that we can sit back as an industry and say, we're going to be working from home 90% of the time and never go to the office and expect our clients to do the opposite. Yeah. We work in an industry. We are reliant on buildings being built and spaces being renovated and re-renovated, and buildings raised and rebuilt and so on and so forth. So, it's important, I think, for our industry in general and the construction industry in general, and we're tied hand in hand, even the corporate real estate industry in general, and talking to our mutual friend, Julie Dignan, a couple of weeks ago from CBRE in Chicago, she's, constantly giving me updates on kind of the status of the corporate real estate market in Chicago. And, we're starting to see the lights come back on down there, but, certainly not like it was 15 months ago. That's for sure.
I really appreciate what you just underscored there, which is our industry needs to take the lead. We've got to lead by example. And I think your analogy is we can't have 90% of our employees working from home and then preach to our customers why they need to go back to the office and how we're selling products to them. I mean, we have to take the lead. And I think there's a lot of areas as an industry we can take the lead on and make our voices being heard. And I know a lot of A&D firms are doing this. I know some manufacturers are doing it. You guys included. You guys publish a lot of great information on your blog. And so we just have to lead by example as we continue to migrate through this. So as we start to wrap up, Jonathan, it's been a great conversation so far, but as we do wrap up, can you give us a little bit of a insight about what's upcoming with KI as we make our way to NeoCon in October? Give us a sneak peek under the cover about what KI is working on.
One of the things that this last year has allowed us to do is get laser focused on product development. So it's something that we're continually working on. We've got some pretty interesting things coming out. We're going to have a brand new stack chair line coming out that I can't share the name of yet, but
that's okay. This is a sneak peek. Doesn't mean the details.
Yeah, we're super. We're super excited about it. KI is really well known in our industry as a leader in stack seating, and I'm really jazzed about where our design team has taken this particular chair, and so and we've got a handful of other things that we're working on as well, from desking systems to storage and lounge seating as well. I think our goal of building a more comprehensive product platform that serves multiple markets is something that we're really focused on right now, Sid. So yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm hopeful for NeoCon in October. I mean, I have no reason to think it's not going to happen. What I'm really going to be curious to see is how many of our clients and specifiers are able to come into town for those days and join us. And it's I hope more people are able to do it, and we have more and more vigor behind the NeoCon experience, because I think we've all missed it for a while.
I will echo that. We have missed it. I'm super excited about it. This is, we're recording this episode in March. And so October's several months away. We are seeing vaccines continue to get their way out into the world, and more people getting vaccinated, and these big, huge drive-through facilities being set up at football stadiums and racetracks and all kinds of things. So it's exciting that more of the world is getting vaccinated, and, hopefully things will continue so that we can have a great NeoCon and bring our community back together, bring our customers in, and really share more about what it is we do. And honestly, get to actually see each other face to face, because we've never met face to face. We've only met over Zoom. So I'm excited. I'm kind of making a list of all the people I want to make sure I go see face to face. Right. So
yeah. There people, including our clients. I had to do a client presentation 2 weeks ago where I had to go to the client's office, but the clients themselves were not allowed in the office. So I had to showcase a KI furniture solution in the client's office with 28 to 32 of, I think it was about 30 of the clients, and they were all at home.
Wow.
And
wow.
I thought this might be the strangest client presentation I've ever had. That I get to go into their building, and I get to go into their building and they don't. So
that's great. Well, Jonathan, I really appreciate you being here today and sharing your thoughts and insights on this. If our listeners would like to get in touch with you, what is the best way that they could reach you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our email address is super easy, and I know it's on the notes. So you can reach me there. LinkedIn is probably one of the best ways to connect with me. And it's also the place, by the way, where I share my research and our blog posts and all the other thought leadership content. So if you want to kind of keep up with what I'm doing on a professional basis and some of the neat projects I get to work on, that's probably the best place.
Okay, that's great. We'll be sure and drop your LinkedIn profile link into the show notes as well. And those of you that are frequent listeners to the podcast, the rules around LinkedIn. You can either follow Jonathan, but if you do decide to connect with him and hit that connect button, you want to hit that connect button that says add note and send Jonathan a note. Let him know that you heard him on the Trend Report and you really enjoyed the conversation, and that's why you're reaching out to connect with him. Please don't send a blind connection request, because he has no idea why you want to connect with him. So be sure you engage in the conversation and let him know. Again, Jonathan, thanks for being here today. And I wishing all of you at KI a great 2021, and hope to see you at NeoCon in October.
Thank you, Sid. It was a pleasure. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.